Hi everyone. Welcome to Lunar Sleeping Studio.
Night leaned gently against the windows of a narrow house tucked between two taller buildings, the kind of house people passed every day without noticing, though inside it breathed with quiet life. A clock ticked softly, not impatient, just steady, as if it understood that time here moved slower. Warm yellow light spilled across a small living room where four people shared one worn sofa, their knees touching, their shoulders brushing, their breaths falling into an easy rhythm that came from knowing one another too well to need words all the time. A kettle clicked off in the kitchen, steam sighing as it cooled, and the smell of chamomile drifted through the air. Mina shuffled in with two mugs balanced carefully in her hands, her steps slow not from age but from habit, as if she had learned long ago that rushing through life only caused spills. She smiled without lifting her eyes, knowing exactly where everyone was sitting. "You'll burn your fingers again," Elias said softly, reaching out to steady one mug. His voice carried the calm of someone who had fixed many small disasters before they grew into big ones. Mina's smile deepened. "You say that every night, and yet my fingers survive." Across from them, tucked into the corner of the sofa, Leo traced invisible patterns on the armrest with one finger, his brow slightly furrowed as if the patterns were important. He was not a child, not quite grown either, living somewhere between questions and answers. Beside him, Clara leaned her head against his shoulder, her eyes half closed, listening to the tiny sounds of the house, the pipes settling, the wind brushing past the walls. "It's quiet tonight," Clara murmured, as if loudness might hear her and return. Leo shrugged gently so she wouldn't slip. "Quiet doesn't last," he said, not sadly, just observantly. Elias chuckled, lowering himself onto the chair opposite them. "Nothing lasts," he said, lifting his mug. "That's why we notice it while it's here." The words settled into the room, not heavy, just present. Outside, a car passed, tires whispering on pavement. Then the sound faded, leaving the house wrapped in its smallness again. This house had always been small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, walls that carried echoes of laughter and arguments alike. It had never been enough for guests, or money, or dreams that required space, yet somehow it had always been enough for them. They called themselves a tiny family, half in jest, half in truth, because everything about their life seemed measured, counted, stretched carefully so it would last. Mina set the mugs down and folded herself onto the arm of the sofa. "Do you remember," she said quietly, "when the roof leaked so badly we had to put buckets everywhere?" Clara smiled, eyes opening a little. "I remember the sound more than the water. Drip, drip, drip. I thought the house was crying." Leo snorted softly. "I thought it was laughing at us." Elias looked down into his tea. "I thought we wouldn't manage. I didn't say it then, but I thought it." Silence followed, not awkward, just thoughtful. Mina reached out and rested her hand on his knee. "And yet," she said, "and yet," he echoed. The clock ticked again, louder for a moment, as if agreeing. Leo leaned back, staring at the ceiling where faint cracks formed shapes he had studied since childhood. "Sometimes I wonder," he said slowly, "if being small means we miss out on things." Mina tilted her head. "What things?" He hesitated. "Big things, important things. People talk about success like it has a sound, like applause. We don't hear that sound here." Clara shifted, her voice barely more than breath. "But we hear other sounds." Leo glanced at her. "Like what?" She smiled, like the kettle clicking off, like footsteps you recognize, like breathing. Elias nodded, though his eyes remained serious. "The world is loud," he said. "It tells you that if you are not expanding, you are failing. It doesn't tell you about the cost of expansion." Mina laughed softly. "He means the rent." That earned a small laugh from Leo, easing the tightness in his chest. Still, something lingered, an unspoken restlessness, like a door he didn't know whether to open or close. Later, when the mugs were empty and the light dimmed, Mina rose and stretched, her joints popping quietly. "Bed," she said gently, not as a command but as an invitation. Clara stood first, squeezing Leo's hand before letting go. "Don't stay up thinking," she teased. "You always forget to sleep when you think too much." He smiled, a little embarrassed. "I'll try." Elias lingered by the window, pulling the curtain just enough to peer out. The street lamp cast a circle of pale light onto the sidewalk, illuminating fallen leaves that had gathered like they were having their own meeting. He watched them for a moment, then turned back. "Tomorrow," he said, "we'll fix the loose step by the door." Mina raised an eyebrow. "You said that last week. And the week before. And the week before that." He smiled sheepishly. "Tomorrow then." When the others drifted down the hall, Leo remained on the sofa, listening to the house settle into sleep. The clock ticked, the pipes sighed. Somewhere, a neighbor's television murmured before going quiet. He pulled a thin blanket around his shoulders and closed his eyes, but thoughts pressed gently against him, persistent. He saw himself older, standing somewhere far from this house, surrounded by things he couldn't name, but felt he was supposed to want. He also saw this room empty, dust collecting where laughter once lived. The images overlapped, confusing him, until neither felt quite real. A soft sound broke through his thoughts. Mina stood in the doorway, holding a small lamp. "You're still awake." "Just resting my eyes," he said. She stepped closer, lowering herself onto the edge of the sofa. "Resting is good, but so is talking." He sighed, then nodded. "Do you ever wish we were more?" She didn't answer right away. She reached out and smoothed the blanket over his shoulder, her touch warm. "More what?" she asked. "More visible, more successful, more something." She smiled sadly. "I wished for that once. I thought if we became more, we would feel safer." "And did it work?" She shook her head. "Safety doesn't come from size, it comes from trust." He looked at her, really looked, noticing the lines at the corners of her eyes, the strength in her hands. "What if I want something bigger?" he asked quietly. She nodded. "Wanting is not a crime. Forgetting is." "Forgetting what?" "Forgetting where you come from. Forgetting who stood with you when you were small." Her words settled into him, not as an answer but as a seed. She rose, switching off the lamp, leaving only the faint glow from the streetlight. "Sleep," she whispered. "Tomorrow we'll ask things of you." When she left, Leo lay back, the house wrapping around him like a held breath. As sleep finally came, he dreamed not of crowds or applause, but of hands reaching for one another in the dark, finding warmth, finding home. And somewhere beneath the ticking clock and the settling walls, a quiet truth waited, patient, ready to grow with the coming days. Morning crept in without announcing itself, slipping through thin curtains and resting gently on the edges of furniture, revealing dust motes drifting like tiny travelers with nowhere urgent to go. The house awakened slowly, not with alarms or hurried footsteps, but with subtle signs of life returning. A floorboard murmured under careful weight, a cupboard hinge sighed, and the faint aroma of toasted bread began to weave through the rooms, wrapping itself around corners and memories alike. Elias stood at the counter, sleeves rolled, moving with deliberate calm as butter melted into warmth. His thoughts were quieter than usual, stretched thin between responsibility and something unspoken. Outside, the street was already alive, voices passing by, engines coughing into motion, the world stretching its limbs far wider than this narrow home ever could. From the hallway came the soft shuffle of slippers. Clara appeared first, hair slightly tangled, eyes still carrying the softness of sleep. She leaned against the doorframe and watched him for a moment without speaking, as if observing a scene she didn't want to interrupt. "You're up early," she said finally. He smiled faintly, couldn't stay asleep. She stepped closer, pouring herself a glass of water. "Big thoughts again." Something like that. Before more words could grow between them, A door creaked open further down the hall. Mena emerged, wrapped in a faded shawl, her gaze already alert, as though sleep never truly claimed her. She inhaled deeply. "You burned the toast." Elias glanced down and laughed quietly. "Only a little. Only a little is still burned," she replied, but her tone carried affection rather than complaint. Leo arrived last, slower than the others, his steps measured, his face thoughtful. He paused in the doorway, watching the small choreography of the kitchen. The way each person moved around the other without collision, like a dance rehearsed over years. No one spoke for a while. Plates clinked softly. Chairs scraped back just enough. The day stretched open before them, wide and uncertain. Breaking the stillness, Mina cleared her throat. "The landlord called yesterday." Elias stiffened just slightly. "About what?" "The usual, the pipe under the sink, the loose step, the wall crack that keeps pretending it's new." Leo felt his chest tighten. "Is he raising the rent?" She shook her head. "Not yet." "That yet sounds loud," Clara said quietly. Mena met her gaze. "It always does." Elias exhaled, rubbing his palms together as if warming them. "I'll take an extra shift." Leo's head snapped up. "You already barely sleep. And you barely stop worrying," Elias replied gently. The words hung there, not sharp, just true. Later, as the others drifted into their separate routines, Leo remained behind, seated at the small table, staring at a faint ring left by an old mug. He traced it slowly, lost in thought, until the front door opened and closed again. Curious, he rose and peered through the window. Across the street, a large moving truck idled, its engine humming impatiently. Strangers carried boxes into the building opposite, their laughter echoing loudly, confidently. A family larger than his, louder than his, unfolding their lives in plain sight. Leo watched as a woman stepped out, arms crossed, surveying the street as if claiming it. She smiled wide and sure. Something twisted inside him. Later that afternoon, he wandered outside under the excuse of fresh air. The street felt different in daylight, larger somehow, more demanding. The new neighbors were still unloading. One of them, a boy around Leo's age, struggled with a heavy box, face flushed with effort. Without thinking, Leo stepped forward. "Need help?" The boy looked surprised, then relieved. "Yeah, thanks." They lifted together, the weight awkward but manageable. "I'm Aaron," the boy said between breaths. "Leo." They carried the box inside the building, setting it down with a dull thud. Aaron wiped his forehead. "This place is temporary," he said casually. "We'll probably move again in a year. My dad says staying too long in one spot makes you stuck." The word hit Leo harder than he expected. "Stuck," Aaron shrugged. "That's what he says. Bigger places, better chances." Leo nodded slowly, though his stomach felt hollow. That evening, the tiny house filled again with familiar sounds. Dinner simmered. The radio hummed low, yet Leo felt slightly out of place, as though he were standing half a step behind his own life. During the meal, he barely spoke. Mina noticed. She always did. After the dishes were done and the day folded into night, she joined him on the steps outside, the loose board creaking beneath their combined weight. The air was cool, carrying distant city noises and the faint smell of rain. "You met the new neighbors," she said, not asking. He nodded. "They're different." She smiled knowingly. "Everyone is. They're moving forward," he said, "always going somewhere else, bigger, better." Mina looked out at the street lamp flickering to life. "Movement isn't the same as progress." He frowned. "How do you know?" "Because I moved many times before this house," she said softly, "and I was still running when I arrived." He absorbed that quietly. She placed a hand over his. "You're allowed to want more, Leo, but don't let wanting make you blind." "Blind to what?" "To what's holding you up while you decide where to go." Inside, laughter drifted through the open window. Clara teasing Elias about the burned toast from morning. A sound so small, yet steady. Leo leaned back, eyes closing briefly. The street felt wide, the house felt small, and somewhere between those two truths, a question grew louder, shaping the path ahead, whether he was ready for it or not. Dawn arrived wrapped in pale gray, pressing softly against rooftops while clouds drifted low like unspoken worries. Inside the narrow dwelling, air shifted as another day took shape, carrying with it a quiet tension that had not been there before. The walls listened, as they always did, absorbing footsteps, pauses, and the weight of thoughts left unsaid. Leo sat on the edge of his mattress, elbows resting on his knees, staring at his shoes as though they belonged to someone else. The room felt tighter this morning, not because it had changed, but because he had. He laced his fingers together, then released them, repeating the motion until the rhythm slowed his breathing. From the other side of the thin wall came a muted cough, followed by the scrape of a chair. Elias was awake. That knowledge alone carried comfort and pressure all at once. In the kitchen, Mina moved with careful precision, wiping an already clean surface, her mind elsewhere. She paused when she heard Leo enter, turning slowly. "You didn't eat yesterday," she said, voice gentle but firm. "I wasn't hungry," he replied, avoiding her eyes. She studied him, then slid a bowl toward the chair. "Sit anyway." He obeyed, more out of habit than appetite. The spoon felt heavier than it should have. Elias joined them moments later, buttoning his jacket, his expression tired yet determined. "I'm heading out early," he said. "Don't wait up tonight." Clara appeared from the hallway, tying her hair back. "Another long shift," he nodded. "Seems that way." A silence followed, thicker than usual. Leo felt it pressing against his chest. "I'm going out later," Leo said suddenly. Mina looked up. "Where?" "Just around." Elias met his gaze. "Around can lead anywhere." "I know," Leo answered, perhaps too quickly. No one stopped him when he stood. No one asked more questions. That absence felt louder than resistance. Outside, the street buzzed with movement. People crossed paths without seeing one another, carried by schedules and obligations. Leo walked without direction at first, letting his feet decide. The farther he went, the less familiar the buildings became. Taller, shinier, less forgiving. He passed cafes filled with voices and laughter, offices with glass fronts revealing lives that seemed organized, purposeful. His reflection followed him in those windows, smaller, uncertain. Eventually, he reached a small park squeezed between concrete structures. A bench waited beneath a bare tree. He sat, exhaling slowly. Nearby, an elderly man fed crumbs to pigeons, his hands trembling slightly. The birds fluttered around him, fearless. They always come back. The man said without looking at Leo. Leo blinked. "Who? These ones?" The man replied, nodding at the birds. "No matter how far they wander." Leo watched them scatter, then return. "Do they ever leave for good?" The man smiled faintly. "Only when they forget where they were fed." The words struck something deep. Before Leo could respond, the man rose and shuffled away, leaving behind a handful of crumbs in an unexpected echo. Hours passed unnoticed. By the time Leo returned, dusk had already softened the edges of the sky. The house greeted him with its familiar creaks and warmth. Light spilled from the living area, and the sound of Clara humming drifted toward him. Mina sat at the table, sorting papers. She looked up when he entered. "You look tired." "So do you," he replied. She gestured to the chair. "Sit. Tell me what you found." He hesitated, then sat. "I don't know," he admitted. "I thought if I walked far enough, something would make sense." "And did it?" He shook his head. "It just made me miss this place, which makes no sense if I want more." She leaned back, folding her hand. "Wanting more doesn't cancel loving where you are." He stared at the tabletop. "What if staying means I never become anything?" She smiled sadly. "You already are something." That night, as rain tapped gently against the roof, the tiny family gathered again, drawn together by habit and need. Elias returned late, exhaustion etched into his face, yet relief softened his eyes when he saw them all there. No grand speeches followed, no solutions emerged, only shared glances, quiet breaths, and the steady understanding that whatever lay ahead would test them in ways they could not yet name. As Leo lay down to rest, listening to rain and distant thunder, he realized something subtle but important. The world outside might promise endless possibilities, but the strength to face them was being built right here, within these close walls, one ordinary day at a time. Sunlight failed to appear that day, hidden behind a blanket of thick clouds that pressed low over the neighborhood, making every sound feel closer, heavier. Inside the modest home, the atmosphere shifted with the weather, carrying a sense of anticipation that no one openly named. The air felt charged, like a held breath before an unexpected confession. Leo woke later than usual, startled not by noise but by the absence of it. No clatter, no murmurs, no movement nearby. He lay still, listening carefully, realizing how much he relied on those ordinary sounds to anchor him. Rising slowly, he stepped into the hallway, noticing how shadows stretched along the floor, changing familiar shapes into something uncertain. At the far end, Mina sat near the window, hands folded in her lap, gazing outward with an intensity that suggested she was looking far beyond the street. Her posture was calm, yet something about her stillness unsettled him. "You're awake," she said without turning. "Yeah," he replied. "Everything okay?" She inhaled deeply before answering. "Do you remember your uncle?" Leo frowned. "The one who moved away years ago," she nodded. "He called this morning." That alone felt strange, like a ghost stepping back into the room. "Why now?" "He's sick," she said quietly, "and he's alone." The weight of her words settled slowly. Leo sat across from her, unsure what to say. "What does that mean for us?" Mina finally turned, meeting his eyes. "It means choices." Before he could respond, the door opened and Elias entered, shaking rain from his coat. He paused when he saw their faces. "I heard," he said simply. Clara joined moments later, sensing the shift immediately. "What's happening?" Mina explained, her voice steady but tired. Clara listened closely, her expression tightening as the picture formed. "So he wants help," Clara said. "He wants family. He wants to come here," Mina corrected. Silence fell hard. Leo's thoughts raced. The house already felt full, stretched thin by bodies and emotions alike. Adding another presence seemed impossible, yet the idea of refusing felt worse. That would change everything. Leo said softly. Elias nodded. "Everything always changes." Arguments didn't erupt. Instead, quiet concerns surfaced, one by one. Space, money, privacy. Each worry laid carefully on the table, examined without anger. Yet beneath them all ran a deeper fear, one none of them spoke aloud. The fear of losing what little balance they had managed to keep. Later, Leo stepped outside, rain misting the air. Across the street, lights glowed warmly from the new neighbors' windows. Laughter spilled out freely, unburdened. He wondered if they ever worried about space or sacrifice, or if abundance made such thoughts unnecessary. He walked until the drizzle soaked his jacket, clearing his head just enough to realize something uncomfortable. Growth did not always arrive as opportunity. Sometimes it arrived as responsibility. When he returned, the home felt smaller than ever. Elias sat repairing a chair leg, his hands steady despite the strain on his face. Clara prepared soup, her movements precise, focused. Mina sorted through old blankets, smoothing each one as though it carried memory. Leo watched them, a realization forming slowly. This family did not expand by choice, it expanded by compassion. That night, conversation resumed over steaming bowls. Mina spoke first. "We can make room." Elias looked up. "It won't be easy." Clara nodded. "It never is." Leo felt his chest tighten. "If he comes," he said carefully, "nothing will stay the same." Mina reached across the table, placing her hand over his. "Nothing ever does." Later, as darkness settled deeper and rain softened to a whisper, Leo lay awake, staring at the ceiling. He imagined the house filled with another voice, another story, another need. Fear stirred, but so did something else, in understanding that family was not defined by comfort, but by willingness. Outside, clouds drifted slowly apart, revealing a single star struggling through the haze. It wasn't bright, it wasn't impressive, but it was there, holding its place in the vastness, reminding Leo that even the smallest light could endure immense pressure. Sleep came late, carrying with it the uneasy knowledge that tomorrow would not ask whether they were ready. Tomorrow would simply arrive, bringing change through the door, expecting to be welcomed. Gray mist hovered close to the ground when the next day unfolded, blurring edges and muting color, as though the world itself hesitated to be clear. Within the narrow structure, footsteps sounded cautious, measured, each movement carrying awareness of decisions forming beneath the surface. Morning passed without routine chatter, replaced by thoughtful glances and half-finished tasks. Leo sat near the doorway, lacing and unlacing his shoes, caught between staying and leaving, motion and stillness. His thoughts wandered ahead, imagining an unfamiliar figure crossing the threshold, bringing with him history, illness, and stories that might not fit easily within these walls. The idea stirred unease, yet refusing it felt like closing a door that should remain open. Mina stood nearby, sorting through a box tucked beneath a shelf, its cardboard softened by time. Inside lay photographs, folded letters, small items wrapped in cloth. She lifted one picture, studying a younger version of herself beside a man whose eyes mirrored her own. A faint smile touched her lips, followed by a shadow. "He was always stubborn," she said quietly, not looking up. Leo glanced over. "Still is. Even now," she replied, "especially now." From the kitchen came the gentle clink of metal against ceramic. Clara prepared tea, her movements deliberate, as though precision could steady her thoughts. Steam rose, curling upward, disappearing into the ceiling like questions without answers. Elias entered carrying a folded paper. He cleared his throat. "I checked the schedule. If we rearrange some things, there's space." Leo looked up sharply. "Where?" Elias gestured vaguely. "We'll figure it out." That phrase lingered, heavy with hope and uncertainty. Later, Leo stepped outside, needing air that didn't feel shared. The street looked different under the mist, quieter, almost tender. He walked without aim, passing familiar corners that suddenly seemed temporary, as though everything might soon rearrange itself. At the edge of the block, he paused, watching leaves cling stubbornly to branches despite the season urging them to fall. Letting go, he realized, wasn't always immediate. Sometimes it required patience, sometimes force. Upon returning, he found Mina seated on the floor, surrounded by blankets and pillows. She looked up, surprised. "Help me decide which ones stay." He knelt beside her, touching fabric worn thin yet warm. "Why not all of them?" She smiled faintly, "Because space teaches us limits." As evening settled, the home filled with soft lamplight and quiet resolve. Dinner was simple, flavors familiar, comfort drawn not from abundance but from care. Conversation flowed slowly, carefully, each person choosing words like stepping stones across deep water. Clara broke the silence. "When he arrives, it won't be forever." Mina nodded. "Nothing is." Leo stared into his bowl. "But it will matter." "Yes," Elias said firmly, "that's the point." Night deepened, wrapping the house in stillness once more. Leo lay awake, listening to breathing around him, sensing how close everyone truly was. He realized then that space was not measured solely by walls, but by willingness to shift, to adjust, to make room within oneself. Outside, the mist thinned, revealing outlines once hidden. And within those outlines, the tiny family prepared, not with certainty, but with courage shaped quietly, moment by moment, into something strong enough to hold what was coming. A pale hush wrapped the neighborhood as the calendar turned another page, carrying with it an unfamiliar heaviness that settled into corners and pauses. Inside the compact dwelling, movement felt deliberate, almost ceremonial, as if each action acknowledged the quiet importance of what lay ahead. No one spoke at first, even breathing seemed mindful. Leo rose before the others, drawn by a restless pull he could not name. He stepped carefully, avoiding loose boards, aware of how every sound traveled. Near the entrance, a small suitcase rested upright, its scuffed surface bearing marks of long journeys and longer waits. Seeing it, there made the coming change feel real in a way conversation never had. He reached out, fingertips brushing the handle, then pulled back, as though the object carried more than weight. From behind him, Clara's voice emerged softly. "You're awake early." He turned, offering a faint nod. "Couldn't settle." She joined him, arms folded loosely. "Neither could I." They stood side by side, watching light creep slowly through the window pane. Outside, a bird perched briefly on the railing, then lifted away, leaving only the echo of wings. In the kitchen, Mina prepared a simple meal, her motions steady yet thoughtful. She paused often, staring into nothing, memories surfacing uninvited. Elias entered quietly, placing a hand on her shoulder. She leaned into it for just a second longer than usual. "He'll be here by evening," she said without looking up. Elias nodded. "I'll leave work early." Across the room, Leo listened, heart tightening. Evening suddenly felt very close. The day unfolded slowly, each hour stretching thin. Clara rearranged shelves, creating order where there had been none. Elias fixed the loose step at last, hammer strikes measured, purposeful. Mina folded linens, smoothing each crease with care. Leo drifted between rooms, helping where asked, watching where not. By late afternoon, clouds gathered low again, darkening the sky. The sound of distant traffic grew louder, more insistent. Leo sat near the window, eyes scanning the street, anticipation building with every passing vehicle. When a car finally stopped outside, his pulse quickened. A door opened, another closed. Footsteps approached. Mina stood first. Elias followed. Clara held her breath. Leo rose slowly, feeling as though the floor shifted beneath him. The door opened. A man stood there, smaller than Leo expected, shoulders hunched, face lined deeply by years and choices. His eyes, though tired, brightened upon seeing Mina. "Little sister," he said, voice rough but warm. She stepped forward, embracing him carefully. "You came." He smiled faintly. "I said I would." Introductions followed quietly. Words felt unnecessary, carried instead by glances and shared understanding. The man glanced around the home, taking in the narrow spaces, the closeness. "You've done well," he said softly. Mina shook her head. "We've done what we could." As night settled, dinner was shared slowly, conversation cautious but sincere. Stories emerged, not all happy, not all easy. Leo listened closely, realizing how much history could fit into a single person, how much pain could travel quietly. Later, as the house dimmed and everyone found a place to rest, Leo lay awake once more. The home felt fuller now, heavier with presence, yet strangely steadier. He understood then that growth did not always stretch outward. Sometimes it deepened inward, strengthening roots unseen. Outside, the first drops of rain began to fall again, gentle and persistent. And within those close walls, a new chapter began, not loudly, not boldly, but with quiet acceptance and a shared promise to endure together. Before sunrise could shape the sky, a low murmur of coughing drifted through the corridor, uneven and strained, pulling awareness from half-formed dreams. Leo stirred, sensing immediately that the atmosphere had shifted again. The residence no longer felt merely occupied. It felt alert, as though every corner now listened for signs of fragility. He moved quietly toward the sound, stopping short when he noticed Mina already awake, seated near the doorway with a folded shawl around her shoulders. Her eyes followed the rhythm of the coughs, measuring them, counting spaces between breaths. "He didn't sleep much," she whispered. Leo nodded, unsure how to respond. The man resting inside the room was no longer an idea or a future concern. He was present, breathing, vulnerable. That reality carried weight. Clara approached from behind, holding a glass of water. She tapped gently before entering, her movements careful, respectful. Inside, the older man lay propped against pillows, skin pale, gaze distant yet alert. Morning came early, he muttered with a thin smile. "Only because you invited it," Clara replied softly, offering the glass. He accepted with trembling hands. "I forget sometimes how quiet places can be." Elias appeared moments later, sleeves rolled, expression focused. "We'll get you settled today," he said, no rush. The man studied each face in turn. "You didn't have to do this," he said. Mina met his eyes steadily. "That's not how family works." Those words lingered, filling the space with something unspoken yet firm. As hours passed, adjustments unfolded. Furniture shifted positions. A curtain was rehung to block drafts. A lamp found a new home near the bed. Each change, though minor, required coordination, patience, compromise. Leo helped where he could, fetching items, holding doors, learning without being told. Later, he stepped outside briefly, needing distance to process what closeness now demanded. The street bustled as usual, unaware of the quiet rearrangements happening behind one door. He watched strangers hurry past, each carrying private concerns, none pausing long enough to notice another's burden. A voice interrupted his thoughts. "You live there." He turned to see Aaron, leaning against a fence, hands tucked into his pockets. "Yeah," Leo replied. Aaron glanced toward the house, looks crowded. Leo considered that. "It is. Doesn't that bother you?" Leo hesitated, "Sometimes, but not the way I thought it would." Aaron shrugged. "I couldn't do it. I need room." Leo nodded. "I used to think that too." When he returned inside, evening light filtered softly across the floor. The older man rested quietly now, breathing steadier. Mina sat nearby, mending something small, her presence a silent reassurance. Leo lowered himself onto a chair, exhaustion settling into his bones. He realized that caring required energy, attention, and sacrifice, yet it also offered a strange kind of clarity. Life narrowed to what mattered most: comfort, dignity, presence. As darkness deepened, conversation resumed gently. Stories surfaced, not dramatic, not heroic, but honest. Regrets were acknowledged without blame. Laughter appeared unexpectedly, brief yet sincere. When night finally claimed the house, Leo lay awake once more, but this time his thoughts felt anchored. The path ahead remained uncertain, yet something inside him had shifted. The desire for distance no longer felt like escape. It felt like something that could wait. Within those close walls, amid shared breaths and quiet resolve, he understood that strength often arrived disguised as responsibility, and meaning revealed itself not in leaving, but in staying when it mattered most. Light seeped through the cracks of the early hours, not bright, not warm, but persistent, touching surfaces gently as if asking permission to exist. The interior stirred slowly, shaped now by an added presence that altered the rhythm of everything. Even silence behaved differently, heavier, more attentive, as though it carried responsibility. Leo found himself awake again, though this time without restlessness. He sat on the floor near the window, knees drawn close, watching shadows retreat inch by inch. Somewhere nearby, a shallow breath rattled, followed by a pause long enough to invite worry. Then another breath arrived, steadier. Relief followed, quiet but real. Footsteps approached behind him. Elias lowered himself onto a stool, rubbing his neck. "You should rest more," he murmured. Leo didn't turn. "Feels wrong to sleep too deeply." Elias considered that caring does that. Makes you listen even while dreaming. They shared a moment without further speech, both aware of how much had changed in such a short span. Later, activity resumed gently. Warm liquid simmered on the stove, filling the air with a grounding scent. Clara adjusted pillows again, her touch light, respectful. Mina sat close to her brother, reading aloud from an old book, her voice steady, almost musical, grounding him when his thoughts wandered. He smiled faintly. "You always did that," he said hoarsely. "Read when things felt out of control." She glanced at him. "You always listened." Leo watched from the doorway, struck by the intimacy of shared memory. He realized then that history wasn't something left behind. It traveled forward, shaping choices, shaping care. Midday arrived quietly. Sunlight strengthened briefly before clouds reclaimed it. The older man stirred, gesturing weakly. Leo stepped forward instinctively, offering water. Their eyes met for the first time without introduction or explanation. "Thank you," the man said. Leo nodded. "You're welcome." The simplicity of the exchange lingered, heavier than many long conversations. By afternoon, fatigue weighed on everyone. Clara stepped outside for air, shoulders sagging. Leo followed, sitting beside her on the step. Neither spoke immediately. "This is harder than I expected," she admitted eventually. He nodded, "But not worse." She smiled faintly. "No, not worse." Inside, Mina and Elias spoke in low tones, discussing appointments, schedules, adjustments yet to come. Their voices carried resolve rather than fear. As evening approached, rain returned softly, tapping against glass with patient insistence. Leo leaned against the wall, listening to its rhythm blend with breathing, footsteps, whispered reassurances. He felt a strange calm settle over him, born not from certainty, but from acceptance. Night wrapped the dwelling once more. Lamps dimmed, conversations faded, yet awareness remained, alert and tender. As Leo closed his eyes, he understood something essential. A life could feel full without being large. Purpose could emerge without fanfare. And sometimes, the deepest transformations happened quietly, shaped by presence, patience, and the courage to remain close when distance seemed easier. A faint glow hovered beyond the glass as another cycle began, neither cheerful nor bleak, simply present. The interior felt altered yet again, as if the structure itself had learned to breathe around its occupants, expanding not in width, but in understanding. Every surface now held intention, every pause carried awareness. Leo rose quietly, careful not to disturb the fragile balance of the moment. He stepped into the narrow passage and paused, sensing a shift before seeing it. The older man sat upright for the first time, shoulders supported by cushions, eyes clearer though still heavy with fatigue. Mina stood nearby, adjusting the fabric at his back with practiced gentleness. "You're sitting," Leo said softly, surprise slipping through his restraint. The man let out a slow breath, felt like trying. Elias leaned against the frame, arms crossed, relief softening his features. "That's progress." Clara entered with a small tray, her movements unhurried. She placed it within reach, then stepped back, allowing space without withdrawing care. The balance struck Leo deeply. Being close no longer meant crowding, it meant awareness. Morning passed differently now. Time slowed, not because there was nothing to do, but because each task required presence. Hands moved deliberately, voices stayed low. Even thoughts seemed to walk instead of run. Leo found himself assigned to small duties, refilling cups, opening curtains just enough, fetching items before being asked. He noticed how anticipation mattered more than reaction. Care, he realized, was often invisible. At one point, the older man motioned toward him. "You don't have to hover," he said gently. Leo hesitated. I know, I just don't want to miss something. The man smiled faintly. You won't. Important things announce themselves. Those words stayed with him. Later, Clara stepped into the adjoining room and sank onto the edge of the bed, exhaustion finally catching up. Leo joined her, handing over a folded cloth. I didn't expect this, she admitted quietly. The constant attention, the way it pulls at you. He nodded. It's like holding something delicate. You don't relax your grip, but you can't squeeze either. She glanced at him, surprised. That was well said. He shrugged. I'm learning. Outside, the neighborhood continued its rhythm, indifferent yet alive. Voices rose, vehicles passed, doors opened and closed. Life moved forward without pause, even as this home had shifted inward. By afternoon, the older man drifted into a light rest, breathing even, face calmer than it had been in days. Mina watched him from a chair, hands folded, eyes distant. Leo approached slowly. You should rest too, he said. She smiled tiredly. Later, Elias joined them, placing a mug beside her. Now, she laughed softly, surrendering, all right. As evening crept closer, shadows stretched across the floor, reshaping familiar lines. Leo stood near the window again, reflecting. He realized that his earlier hunger for elsewhere had quieted, not vanished but softened, reshaped. What he once saw as limitation now appeared as focus. When night returned, bringing with it the steady hush he had come to recognize, Leo lay down with a strange sense of fullness. Not comfort exactly, not ease, but meaning. He understood something then, deep and steady. Growth did not always roar. Sometimes it whispered, asking for patience, asking for presence. And in listening, truly listening, one could find direction without ever leaving the room. A thin brightness hovered beyond the panes as the next stretch of time unfolded, not announcing itself with promise or dread, merely arriving as it always did. Inside the close quarters, the atmosphere felt layered, as though every breath carried echoes of earlier moments. Nothing looked different at first glance, yet everything felt altered beneath the surface. Leo stirred from shallow rest, aware of a steady presence nearby before opening his eyes. The gentle rasp of breathing reached him, uneven yet persistent, anchoring him to wakefulness. He remained still, counting those breaths without meaning to, allowing reassurance to replace worry. Across the room, Mina sat upright, her posture straight despite fatigue pulling at her shoulders. She held a small notebook, its pages worn, her fingers resting along the edge as if deciding whether to open it. When she noticed Leo watching, she offered a faint smile that carried both gratitude and weariness. I used to write things down, she said quietly, when my thoughts felt too crowded. Did it help? He asked. Sometimes, she replied. Sometimes it just showed me what I was avoiding. Those words lingered between them, soft but weighty. Elias moved carefully through the narrow passage, adjusting a curtain to temper the incoming glow. His movements carried purpose now, shaped by attention rather than routine. He paused, observing the room as if committing it to memory. He's holding steady, he said, voice low. That's good, Leo answered. It is. Elias agreed, though uncertainty flickered briefly across his expression before fading. Clara entered carrying a bowl of warm liquid, her steps slow, mindful. She knelt beside the bed, offering it with patience rather than urgency. The older man accepted, his hands trembling less than before. You all move like you're afraid to break something, he said softly. Clara smiled. We're afraid not to care enough. He chuckled faintly, the sound dry but sincere. Mid-morning passed in fragments. Sunlight shifted, then withdrew. Outside noises ebbed and flowed, distant yet constant. Inside, tasks continued, small but meaningful. Leo found himself wiping surfaces already clean, straightening objects that had not moved in years. The actions calmed him, gave shape to his thoughts. At one point, the older man motioned for Leo to sit nearby. You've been quiet, he observed. Leo shrugged, listening. That's rare, the man said, Most people speak so they don't have to hear themselves. Leo considered that. What do you hear when it's quiet? The man gazed upward, eyes clouded yet thoughtful. Regret, he said honestly, but also relief, because it's never too late to sit still with it. Those words settled deeply, pressing against Leo's chest. Later, as afternoon waned, Mina finally allowed herself to rest, her head leaning back against the wall. Elias covered her gently with a blanket, his gesture wordless but full. Clara stepped outside briefly, returning with cooler air clinging to her clothes. As evening approached, the older man drifted into deeper rest, his breathing more even than it had been in days. The family gathered quietly nearby, sharing space without demand. Leo leaned against the wall, eyes closing for a moment. He felt tired in a way that went beyond muscle and bone, yet beneath that exhaustion lived something steady, a sense of grounding, a recognition that purpose did not always arrive wrapped in ambition. When darkness settled again, soft and familiar, Leo understood something that had once eluded him. Fulfillment did not always come from reaching outward. Sometimes it emerged from staying present, from choosing care over escape, from allowing life to unfold within the smallest of spaces. And in that understanding, he felt ready for whatever the next moment might ask of him. The morning arrived wrapped in muted silver, drifting lazily across rooftops and brushing against windows without urgency. Inside the home, the atmosphere carried a gentle tension, a quiet acknowledgement that each day now demanded awareness, patience, and careful steps. The house itself seemed to hold its breath, listening as its inhabitants began to move. Leo rose with measured calm, stepping lightly across familiar floors, sensing the subtle shifts the new presence had introduced. He paused near the doorway, watching the older man stir beneath blankets, eyes blinking slowly against the light. For the first time, Leo noticed the delicate rise and fall of the chest with such focus that it became a rhythm he could follow, grounding him in the moment. Mina appeared from the hallway, holding a small tray of fruit. She placed it near the bed, arranging the pieces with care. "It's simple," she said, voice soft, "but it should give strength." The man looked up, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "You've always cared too much," he said, his tone half teasing, half sincere. Clara arrived then, balancing a small vase of fresh flowers she had gathered from the courtyard. She placed it on a table near the window, sunlight catching the petals. "I thought a little color might help," she said. Leo watched the scene unfold, struck by the quiet orchestration of kindness surrounding him. It wasn't grand. There were no declarations, no speeches of reassurance. Just small gestures layered together, shaping safety and warmth. Later, Elias joined them, carrying a folded blanket. He draped it carefully across the older man's knees and stepped back. "We'll manage the day carefully," he said. Leo sat near the window, folding and refolding his hands. He found that the house now felt larger, not because walls had expanded, but because intention filled the spaces. Every gesture of care, every patient action, seemed to stretch the boundaries of comfort, creating room for something deeper. Time passed quietly. Sunlight shifted and waned, shadows stretching across the floor like soft fingers. Outside, the hum of distant traffic and occasional voices carried in, but they felt peripheral, muted by the steadiness inside. At mid-afternoon, Leo found himself alone in the small kitchen, arranging cups and wiping the counter. His thoughts wandered to what the future might bring. The presence in the house meant adjustments, responsibilities, and choices he had not yet faced. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, a strange sense of purpose had begun to root itself in him. The older man stirred again, calling softly. Leo moved quickly, offering water and adjusting a pillow beneath his head. "You're attentive," the man said. "Most people rush past what matters." Leo nodded, words failing. He realized that what mattered was not always visible. Sometimes it was measured in subtle shifts, quiet attentiveness, and the willingness to remain close even when no reward awaited. Evening approached slowly, bringing with it a softened glow. The family gathered near the table, their presence a silent affirmation of connection. Conversation was light, careful, layered with meaning that only familiarity could provide. No one dominated. Each voice held space for the others. When night finally settled, draping the house in a deep calm, Leo lay awake again, listening to the soft creaks, the faint hum of distant life, and the even breathing of those around him. He understood now that steadiness could be found not in movement, but in attention. That growth did not always mean stepping outward. Sometimes it came from holding close what already existed, nurturing it until it became enough. And as sleep claimed him, he felt a quiet certainty, fragile but true. The strength to face tomorrow was already here, cultivated in the careful acts of today. A delicate haze lingered over the city when the next day began, softening edges and slowing the usual rhythm of sounds. Inside the narrow home, movement carried a new intentionality, as if everyone sensed the weight of recent changes. Even the furniture seemed to adapt, its worn surfaces now holding more significance with each careful touch. Leo rose slowly, feeling the unusual calm that comes after nights filled with thought. He stepped into the corridor, pausing at the threshold where the older man rested. His gaze softened as he observed the subtle rise and fall of the shoulders beneath the blankets, noticing small details he had never considered before. The slight tension in a hand, the uneven rhythm of breath, the quiet strength that remained despite vulnerability. Maina entered quietly, carrying a basket filled with neatly folded linens. She arranged them beside the bed, ensuring everything was within reach. "We have to be mindful today," she said, her tone even measured, but carrying a sense of urgency that didn't disrupt calm. Leo nodded without speaking, feeling the truth of her words settle around him like a warm cloak. In the kitchen, Clara moved between counters, chopping vegetables with precise motions. Steam rose from a small pot on the stove, curling upward like smoke from a candle. And for a moment, Leo felt the rhythm of the household as tangible, almost musical. Elias appeared then, carrying a stack of papers, pausing to glance at everyone. "Plans for appointments," he said. "We need to coordinate carefully." The day stretched forward slowly, each hour molded by necessity and attention. Leo found himself drawn to small tasks, refilling cups, adjusting pillows, straightening objects that had been left out of place. Each action seemed small on its own, but collectively, they shaped a sense of safety that he had never truly valued before. Later, the older man stirred and motioned for Leo to approach. "You've changed since I arrived," he said quietly, a faint smile crossing his features. "You notice things others overlook." Leo hesitated, unsure what to say. I just want to help," he finally admitted. The man nodded, eyes soft. "That's enough sometimes. Caring in silence matters more than grand gestures." Afternoon light softened as clouds drifted slowly across the sky, filling the room with muted warmth. Outside, city life pressed on, oblivious to the quiet efforts within these walls. Leo stepped briefly onto the small balcony, letting the cool breeze brush across his face. He thought about movement, responsibility, and what it meant to truly adjust to another person's presence without losing oneself. By evening, a steady routine had formed. Dinner was simple, but shared with attention and care. Conversation remained gentle, thoughtful, each word chosen to ease tension rather than create it. Leo watched as Mina, Clara, and Elias navigated the presence of the older man with grace and patience, realizing that strength often revealed itself through quiet persistence rather than loud declarations. As night fell, The house settled into a familiar hush. Leo lay on the edge of his bed, listening to the soft exhalations, creaks, and distant hums from outside. A sense of understanding began to bloom. Growth was not always measured in distance or achievement. Sometimes it manifested in steadiness, in vigilance, in the willingness to remain present when others depended upon you. And as his eyelids finally grew heavy, Leo understood that the day's careful attention had laid foundations stronger than any hurried action could, building resilience, compassion, and a subtle confidence that tomorrow, whatever it brought, could be met with quiet courage. A muted gray light filtered through the upper windows, touching corners of the home with an unhurried presence. The house seemed to breathe differently that morning, as if aware that routines had shifted, responsibilities grown, and patience was now a necessity rather than a choice. Every sound, the scrape of chairs, the gentle hum of distant traffic, felt amplified, carrying the weight of attention. Leo rose slowly, feeling a heaviness that was neither fatigue nor discomfort, but awareness. He paused in the narrow hallway, glancing toward the older man who rested quietly beneath layers of blankets. The subtle changes in his breathing, the slight tension in his fingers, even the faint line of worry across his forehead, caught Leo's eye. For the first time, he felt that noticing was a form of care, more important than any action. Mina entered the room carrying a tray of fresh fruit and water, arranging it near the bed with deliberate care. "We need to be thorough today," she said softly, her eyes reflecting a mixture of concern and determination. Leo moved closer. "What do you mean?" She met his gaze. "Every small detail matters. Comfort, safety, attention. The smallest neglect can ripple outward." In the kitchen, Clara stirred a simmering pot, the aroma filling the narrow rooms and lending a quiet warmth. Elias stepped in, holding a folded towel and some papers. "Appointments, schedules, errands," he said, voice calm but edged with purpose. "We need to make everything run smoothly, step by step." Leo felt the gravity of that statement pressing against him. The day would be structured, meticulous, and full of subtle adjustments, each demanding focus, each carrying importance. Morning passed with understated intensity. Leo found himself straightening objects, refilling cups, checking pillows, aligning chairs. Simple tasks, but each one contributing to a quiet ecosystem of care. The older man observed occasionally, his eyes soft with appreciation. At one point, he motioned for Leo to sit near him. "You're learning quickly," he said. "You notice what others overlook. That ability will matter more than you think." Leo nodded, words failing him. He realized that attentiveness was not passive. It required energy, patience, and a willingness to bear responsibility without immediate recognition. Afternoon arrived with the sky a muted canvas, heavy clouds diffusing light evenly. Leo stepped briefly onto the balcony, letting the damp air brush against his face. He thought about balance, about the quiet ways life demanded presence, and how stepping aside or rushing forward could disrupt that balance. Inside, the older man drifted into rest, breathing more evenly. Mina adjusted blankets, Clara replaced pillows, and Elias managed minor tasks, each act a silent demonstration of cooperation. The house, once merely a dwelling, had transformed into a network of small, deliberate acts of support. Evening fell, bringing dim lamplight and soft murmurs. Dinner was shared with care, conversation flowing gently, each voice holding space for the others. Leo watched the interactions, understanding that patience, presence, and attentiveness were forms of strength that often went unnoticed. As night deepened, Leo lay awake, absorbing the subtle rhythms of the home, the even breathing, soft sighs, and distant city hum. He realized that growth could be measured not by distance traveled or achievements attained, but by the depth of care one offered, the willingness to adapt, and the quiet courage to remain when needed most. And in that understanding, a sense of quiet fortitude settled over him. a recognition that tomorrow's challenges could be met with awareness, compassion, and patience, all nurtured within the simple, steady life of the tiny household. A faint silver light pressed gently against the walls, casting muted patterns across the narrow rooms as the day began to stir. The house felt heavier than usual, weighted with presence, responsibility, and the anticipation of adjustments yet to come. Even the air seemed more deliberate, carrying the subtle hum of attention and unspoken vigilance. Leo rose slowly, every movement conscious, aware of the fragile rhythm that now governed the home. He paused in the corridor, observing the older man resting beneath a pile of soft blankets, shoulders rising and falling steadily but deliberately, each breath a quiet statement of survival and resilience. Mena appeared carrying a small pitcher of water, placing it near the bedside with care. "We must be cautious today," she said, voice soft but resolute, reflecting the awareness that each action mattered far more than it ever had before. Leo stepped closer. "What sort of caution? Every little thing counts," she replied. "Comfort, attention, safety. Missing a single detail could disrupt balance." Meanwhile, Clara moved between counters in the kitchen, stirring soup with rhythmic patience. Aromas filled the house, grounding everyone in small comfort. Elias followed, holding a stack of neatly organized papers and a towel. "We need order today," he said, voice calm yet firm. "Every step matters." Morning unfolded with steady intensity. Leo found himself refilling cups, arranging pillows, adjusting chairs, and ensuring small details were maintained. Though the tasks seemed ordinary, each contributed to a network of care and awareness that was now essential for the household to function. At one point, the older man raised his hand slightly, gesturing for Leo to come closer. "You're attentive," he said quietly, eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and approval. "Many overlook what's right in front of them. Your presence makes a difference." Leo absorbed the words silently, understanding that genuine care was active, demanding focus, and often unnoticed, yet immeasurably impactful. As afternoon settled, clouds gathered, dimming the sunlight and softening shadows across the room. Leo stepped onto the balcony briefly, inhaling the crisp air and letting the mist cling to his jacket. He reflected on the delicate balance between space and attention, realizing that growth could emerge not only from movement forward, but from steadfast presence. Back inside, Mina tended to the older man, smoothing blankets and repositioning pillows with methodical precision. Clara adjusted a small lamp, Elias checked schedules and rearranged minor items, all orchestrated quietly, without fanfare, yet each act contributing to comfort and security. Evening arrived slowly, bathing the rooms in amber light. Dinner was shared, conversation gentle, each voice mindful of the others. Leo watched closely, noticing how patience and attentiveness could shape an environment as effectively as any spoken word. When night came, wrapping the house in deep tranquility, Leo lay awake, absorbing the soft rhythms of breathing, the gentle creaks of settled furniture, and the distant echo of city life beyond the walls. He realized then that meaningful transformation was often subtle, present in sustained care, measured in quiet attention, and found in the courage to remain close when challenges demanded it. In that moment, he understood the steady foundation being built, resilience born of persistence, compassion, and unwavering presence, and felt prepared for the days that lay ahead, whatever they might bring. A thin glow slipped across the skyline, spilling quietly into the compact rooms and illuminating dust particles that floated lazily in the still air. The house felt alive in a way it hadn't before, as though every wall, every floorboard had absorbed the care and attention that had been offered over days now past. Silence carried weight here, and every footstep seemed to echo responsibility. Leo rose, limbs stiff yet alert, sensing immediately the subtle currents of movement around him. The older man rested against pillows, eyes half closed, shoulders slowly rocking with each steady inhale and exhale. For the first time, Leo noticed the slight tremor in the hands, the faint tension in the jaw, and recognized that vigilance was now part of his own rhythm. Mina appeared, carrying a small basket of folded linens and soft cloths. She placed them at the bedside, arranging them with methodical care. "Attention matters more than speed today," she said gently. "Every little adjustment counts." Leo approached. "I understand," he said quietly. "I'll watch carefully." From the kitchen came the faint clatter of utensils. Clara moved with unhurried precision, stirring a pot and checking the simmering contents. Elias followed, placing a folded blanket and stack of papers on a chair. "Organization and timing will guide us," he said. "Small steps, deliberate focus." The morning passed with careful structure. Leo refilled cups, adjusted pillows, straightened chairs, and moved lightly through the space, conscious of how every act contributed to stability. The older man observed him intermittently, his gaze a mixture of approval and quiet acknowledgement. At one point, the man spoke, voice low but clear. "You notice more than I expected," he said. "That ability will help you navigate challenges that others might not even see." Leo remained silent, absorbing the comment, realizing that presence was an act of influence as much as action, that being attentive could shift outcomes quietly yet profoundly. Afternoon arrived, clouds softening sunlight and diffusing shadows across the rooms. Leo stepped briefly onto the balcony, letting the cool air brush against his skin. He reflected on responsibility, awareness, and the subtle ways one's choices ripple outward, shaping the household without overt recognition. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets, smoothing edges, aligning them carefully. Clara replaced a lamp to catch the light better, and Elias moved minor items, creating order in small but meaningful ways. Every act was small, yet each reinforced a larger sense of safety and stability. The evening fell gradually, casting a muted golden hue over the rooms. Dinner was shared, conversation light and deliberate, each voice attuned to the others. Leo recognized that attentiveness, patience, and quiet action often held more power than words, and that true care could be demonstrated without grand gestures. When night fully descended, draping the home in soft darkness, Leo lay awake, listening to gentle breathing, faint creaks of furniture, and distant hums of life beyond the walls. A realization settled within him. Growth was cultivated through consistency, presence, and dedication, rather than through bold or immediate achievements. He felt a quiet, steadfast strength emerge, understanding that tomorrow would demand focus and patience, but that he now possessed the awareness and resilience to meet it. The lessons of attention, care, and subtle influence had taken root, forming a foundation solid enough to face whatever challenges might arrive. Don't use same words which already use. So make lengthy episode 16 a pale, diffused light entered through the windows, softening corners and lending a subdued glow to every surface. The air felt thick with anticipation, as if the house itself recognized that the rhythm of life had shifted, that every movement and gesture now carried consequence. Even small sounds, footsteps, a cough, the rustle of fabric, seemed magnified, significant. Leo sat on the edge of a chair, legs bent, hands clasped loosely. His gaze wandered toward the older man, who lay propped on pillows, eyes half open yet observing everything. There was a quiet determination etched into the man's features, a subtle insistence on remaining engaged despite weakness. Leo found himself drawn into that energy, feeling responsibility as a physical presence pressing against his chest. Mina entered carrying a basket of soft towels and cloths, arranging them near the bed with meticulous care. "We must be precise today," she said, her tone steady. "Every little detail matters, no matter how small it seems." Leo nodded. "I'll be careful." From the kitchen, Clara's movements added a rhythm to the morning, stirring a pot slowly, checking simmering contents, and setting utensils in neat order. Elias appeared shortly after, stacking papers, folding blankets, adjusting minor items around the room. "Structure will guide us," he said, carefully, deliberately. Time unfolded with deliberate pace. Leo moved through the rooms, performing tasks small in appearance but weighty in impact through filling glasses, straightening cushions, ensuring blankets lay just so. The older man occasionally observed, nodding in subtle acknowledgement, imparting a quiet affirmation without words. Later, the man summoned Leo closer. "Attention can change outcomes," he said softly, eyes meeting Leo's. "Many walk past what is obvious. You notice, and that matters more than you realize." Leo absorbed the message silently, understanding that mindfulness was not passive. It required presence, energy, and a willingness to sustain vigilance over time. Afternoon brought clouds low and muted, softening light and stretching shadows across the floor. Leo stepped onto the balcony briefly, inhaling the moist air and allowing it to ground him. He reflected on how small, consistent acts could sustain life in ways grandeur never could. Inside, Mina tended carefully to the older man, smoothing blankets, adjusting his position for comfort. Clara replaced a lamp, ensuring light reached the corners, while Elias moved objects and checked schedules with quiet focus. Each act, though minor alone, collectively created an environment of security and calm. Evening arrived, bathing the rooms in amber warmth. Dinner was simple but shared with attention, conversation flowing deliberately, voices attuned to one another. Leo recognized that patience and attentiveness were forces as powerful as any spoken word, and that presence itself could stabilize and nurture. When night claimed the house, wrapping it in soft darkness, Leo lay awake, absorbing the subtle symphony of breathing, furniture settling, and distant urban murmurs. A deep understanding took root. Growth was built on persistence, awareness, and care, rather than outward success or immediate recognition. In that quiet realization, he felt an inner fortitude emerge, a steady, patient strength that would allow him to face the next day's challenges with awareness, responsibility, and gentle courage, confident that the continuity of care within the household was as vital as anything beyond its walls. A gentle glow filtered through the upper panes, casting long, soft shapes across the rooms, and the house seemed to hold its breath in acknowledgement of another day beginning. The atmosphere carried a certain gravity, a weight shaped by days of careful attention, subtle adjustments, and quiet responsibility. Even the faint creak of the floor sounded deliberate, meaningful, as though every movement mattered. Leo rose from his spot near the window, feeling the cool floor underfoot. His gaze fell on the older man, who lay propped up on a stack of pillows, eyes tracing the ceiling with measured awareness. There was a faint tension in the hands, a line around the mouth, a rhythm in breathing that suggested vigilance mingled with fatigue. Leo realized that this presence demanded more than action. It required focus, empathy, and patience. Mina appeared, carrying a tray of soft linens and neatly folded cloths. She arranged them beside the bed with precision. "Every detail is important," she said quietly. "Even the smallest oversight can ripple outward." Leo stepped closer. "I'll watch carefully," he replied, sensing that her words carried lessons beyond the immediate task. From the kitchen, Clara's gentle movements added rhythm to the household. Steam curled from a simmering pot, carrying an aroma that was calming yet grounding. Elias arrived shortly after, placing a blanket near the bed and organizing papers on a small table. "Everything must follow order today," he said, voice calm, deliberate. steps taken thoughtfully can prevent imbalance. Morning unfolded in a slow, deliberate cadence. Leo moved lightly around the space, attending to small yet significant actions, filling water cups, smoothing blankets, adjusting cushions, and repositioning minor items. Each act contributed to a sense of stability that had gradually woven itself into the fabric of the home. At one point, the older man motioned for Leo to sit beside him. Observing closely is as important as acting, he said. Most fail to see what is in front of them. That awareness can shape everything. Leo absorbed the statement silently, feeling the weight of its truth. Presence, he realized, was not merely being there. It was sustaining attention, offering care without expectation, and remaining vigilant when ease and distraction beckoned. Afternoon brought clouds drifting low, casting a soft, muted light that stretched shadows across the floors. Leo stepped onto the balcony, letting the damp air brush across his face. He reflected on subtle forms of responsibility, on how small, consistent efforts quietly build resilience and nurture life around them. Inside, Mina tended to the older man with careful hands, smoothing blankets and repositioning him for comfort. Clara adjusted lighting, ensuring that every corner held enough warmth. Elias moved minor objects and organized schedules, orchestrating order without fuss. Each contribution, though seemingly ordinary, reinforced a household held together by attention and intentionality. As evening approached, amber light filled the rooms, lending warmth and quiet reflection. Dinner was shared with deliberate care, conversation flowing softly, voices mindful of the space and energy of each participant. Leo recognized that patience and gentle attentiveness often carried more weight than words, that quiet acts could stabilize and sustain more than force or instruction ever could. Night settled gradually, embracing the home in stillness. Leo lay awake, listening to breathing, the subtle creaks of furniture, and distant murmurs from the world outside. He understood then that true growth is cultivated through care, diligence, and conscious presence rather than spectacle or immediate reward. A calm strength rooted itself within him, steady and patient, preparing him for the challenges of tomorrow. He realized that enduring transformation often comes not from grand gestures, but from sustained attention, compassion, and the courage to remain close when the world might encourage distance. A soft haze of dawn lingered over the rooftops, tinting the narrow rooms with a muted glow. The air inside felt dense, laden with the weight of unspoken responsibility, subtle attentiveness, and the steady pulse of life adjusting to a new rhythm. Even the faintest sounds, shuffling feet, the creak of furniture, the rustle of linens, resonated with significance, signaling how deeply each movement now mattered. Leo rose carefully, feeling the cool touch of the floor beneath his feet. His gaze lingered on the older man, propped against pillows, eyes scanning the ceiling with quiet deliberation. Every subtle motion, the twitch of a finger, the shallow inhale, the brief tightening of shoulders, spoke of vigilance and a fragile endurance that demanded his attention. Leo sensed that simply being present would require patience, focus, and steadiness. Mina entered softly, carrying a basket of folded cloths. She placed them next to the bed with thoughtful precision, arranging each item so it could be easily reached. "Every little adjustment counts," she said, voice calm but imbued with a serious weight. "One small oversight can shift balance." Leo stepped closer. "I'll remain mindful," he said, recognizing the depth behind her words. From the kitchen, Clara stirred a pot, its aroma wrapping around the house like a gentle anchor. Elias followed, holding a neatly folded blanket and several documents. "We'll move deliberately today," he said. "Every step taken with care ensures stability." Morning unfolded slowly, measured by attention rather than clock. Leo moved from room to room, attending to minor yet crucial details, refilling cups, adjusting pillows, straightening cushions, and arranging objects with purpose. Each task, though seemingly mundane, contributed to a larger sense of calm and security within the household. The older man motioned for Leo to approach, observing with focus matters as much as any action. He said softly, "Many fail to see what is before them. Awareness changes outcomes in ways words cannot convey." Leo absorbed the meaning quietly, understanding that true care required consistent attention, vigilance, and an ability to sustain presence without expectation of recognition. Afternoon brought low clouds, diffusing sunlight into soft, even illumination. Leo stepped onto the balcony, letting the cool breeze brush across his face. He reflected on subtle responsibility, on how patient and persistent actions shape the well-being of those around us without overt acknowledgement. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets and positioned the older man carefully, ensuring comfort with every motion. Clara rearranged lighting, balancing warmth and visibility, while Elias moved items and checked schedules to maintain order. Each act, though ordinary on its own, contributed to the quiet harmony that sustained the household. Evening approached, painting the rooms with amber light. Dinner was shared with careful attention, conversation flowing gently, each voice mindful of the others. Leo recognized that deliberate patience, small gestures, and steady attentiveness often carried more influence than words, and that enduring care could stabilize more effectively than force. As night fell and the home settled into soft stillness, Leo lay awake, listening to breathing, subtle creaks, and distant murmurs beyond the walls. He realized that growth arises from patience, vigilance, and deliberate presence rather than spectacle or immediate accomplishment. A calm, enduring strength settled within him, a fortitude that would guide him through tomorrow's challenges. He understood that lasting transformation often emerges quietly, shaped by attention, compassion, and the courage to remain steadfast when others might seek distance. A muted light crept through the narrow windows, stretching across floors and furniture with a gentle insistence, announcing the arrival of a new day. The atmosphere within the home felt heavier than usual, imbued with unspoken responsibility and the quiet hum of vigilance. Even the smallest noises, the shifting of a chair, the rustle of cloth, a faint cough, seemed magnified, carrying weight and significance that could not be ignored. Leo rose with care, feeling the firmness of the floor beneath his bare feet. His gaze immediately fell upon the older man, nestled in pillows with a posture that blended frailty and determination. Every subtle motion, the twitching fingers, the shallow inhalation, the faint tension in the jaw revealed the resilience required just to exist. And Leo understood that his attention would be demanded in ways that went beyond simple action. Mina entered softly, cradling a tray of neatly folded fabrics. She arranged each piece beside the bed, adjusting angles and positions with precise care. "Even the smallest details make a difference," she said quietly, her voice calm but weighted with purpose. "A single misstep can ripple outward." Leo approached. "I will stay attentive," he replied, sensing the unspoken lesson behind her words. In the kitchen, Clara moved with deliberate rhythm, stirring a pot, adjusting heat, and aligning utensils with care. Elias appeared, carrying a folded blanket and documents, placing them gently on a nearby table. "Every movement counts today," he said. "Deliberation ensures harmony and prevents disorder." Time passed slowly, each hour measured by intention rather than the clock. Leo moved from room to room, performing seemingly simple tasks, refilling glasses, smoothing cushions, arranging pillows, aligning objects. Yet each act contributed to a broader sense of stability and calm that enveloped the household. The older man motioned for Leo to come closer. "Observation is as important as action," he said softly. "Most people miss what is right in front of them. Your awareness can guide outcomes far more than effort alone." Leo listened quietly, absorbing the truth of the statement. He realized that genuine care required persistence, focus, and the willingness to remain present without expectation of acknowledgement. As afternoon arrived, low clouds filtered the sunlight into a soft, even glow. Leo stepped onto the balcony briefly, letting the cool breeze brush his face. He considered responsibility in its quiet forms, recognizing that steady, consistent attention could sustain and nurture life more profoundly than grand gestures. Inside, Mina repositioned blankets and adjusted the older man's posture for comfort. Clara ensured lighting was balanced, filling corners with gentle warmth, and Elias moved minor items and checked the schedule, orchestrating stability silently but effectively. Each small act reinforced the interconnected rhythm that now defined the household. Evening descended gradually, filling the rooms with a soft amber light. Dinner was shared with gentle attention, conversation measured and mindful, each participant attuned to the needs of the others. Leo noted that patience, small gestures, and steady focus often carried more impact than words alone, shaping the environment with quiet authority. When night enveloped the home, wrapping it in stillness, Leo lay awake, attuned to breathing, subtle creaks, and distant sounds from the world beyond. He understood that true development and growth came from consistency, presence, and careful attention, rather than spectacle or immediate recognition. A quiet, unwavering strength settled into him, steady and patient. He felt ready to face the days ahead, knowing that enduring change often emerges in subtle ways, shaped by mindfulness, compassion, and the courage to remain steadfast when it would be easier to turn away. A dim, silvery light filtered through the upper panes, spreading slowly across the furniture and walls, giving the rooms a muted, contemplative glow. The house seemed to hum with quiet awareness, as if it recognized the weight of the day that lay ahead. Every creak of the floor, every faint rustle of fabric, carried a significance that had grown over the course of their shared days. The air itself felt charged with vigilance and care. Leo rose cautiously, feeling the cool surface beneath his feet, alert to the slightest change in sound or motion. His gaze lingered on the older man, who rested among a pile of pillows, eyes open but distant, shoulders subtly moving with the slow cadence of breathing. Leo noticed the fine tension in his fingers and the faint lines etched deeper on his face, realizing that even small gestures of attention were now vital. Mina stepped in, holding a basket with folded linens and soft cloths, arranging them beside the bed with deliberate attention. "Precision matters," she said softly. "Every careful motion shapes comfort. Any neglect can upset the balance." Leo nodded. "I'll remain aware," he said, sensing the deeper lesson within her words. From the kitchen, Clara moved methodically, stirring a simmering pot and aligning utensils with care. Elias entered, holding a neatly folded blanket and a stack of notes, placing them down gently. "Today requires thoughtful steps," he said. "Attention to small details ensures the household flows without strain." The morning passed with steady purpose. Leo moved quietly from room to room, performing small but crucial actions, refilling glasses, adjusting pillows, straightening cushions, and organizing minor objects. Each effort contributed to a broader sense of stability, an invisible rhythm of care that permeated the home. Later, the older man raised a hand slightly, signaling Leo to approach. "Noticing is as valuable as acting," he said, eyes meeting Leo's. "Most overlook the details that define comfort and security. Awareness can make a difference beyond effort." Leo absorbed the statement in silence, understanding that true attention required consistency, patience, and the willingness to remain engaged without expectation of recognition. Afternoon arrived, clouds softening the sunlight into a gentle haze. Leo stepped onto the balcony, feeling the faint breeze against his skin. He reflected on the subtle responsibilities of life, realizing that small, continuous efforts could sustain those around him far more than grand gestures. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets and positioned the older man for comfort. Clara ensured even lighting reached every corner, and Elias attended to minor tasks and schedules. Each simple motion reinforced a delicate harmony that now defined the home, forming a network of quiet vigilance. As evening approached, amber light filled the rooms, lending warmth and softness. Dinner was shared with attentiveness, conversation flowing gently, voices mindful of each other's energy. Leo noted that steady care, patient gestures, and measured presence often held more influence than words, silently shaping the environment with intention. Night settled, enveloping the home in a soft tranquility. Leo lay awake, attuned to the rhythmic breathing, faint creaks of furniture, and distant sounds beyond the walls. He realized that lasting growth and resilience emerged through consistency, attentiveness, and careful presence rather than spectacle or immediate result. A quiet, enduring strength took root within him, steady and patient. He felt prepared for tomorrow, understanding that meaningful transformation often arrives through subtle, deliberate acts of care, compassion, and the courage to remain close when distance might seem easier. A fragile dawn crept across the skyline, spilling a muted glow into the narrow rooms. The house seemed suspended between stillness and expectation, as if every surface, every shadow, carried the weight of vigilance cultivated over countless days. Even the faintest noises, the whisper of fabric, the soft tap of a foot, the subtle shifting of a pillow, resonated with significance, reinforcing the rhythm of care that now defined the household. Leo rose slowly, feeling the cool floor underfoot, alert to subtle changes around him. His gaze fell upon the older man, nestled in the pillows with an air of fragile endurance. Every micro movement, the twitch of a finger, the slight tightening of the jaw, the shallow rhythm of breathing, spoke of persistence, of the effort required just to remain present. Leo sensed that today would demand not only action but constant mindfulness. Mina appeared, balancing a small tray of folded cloths and linens, arranging them beside the bed with precise attention. "Every choice shapes the environment," she said softly. "Even minor neglect can ripple outward, affecting stability." Leo stepped closer. "I will remain observant," he said, recognizing that her words carried more than practical instruction. They were a guide for thought and intention. From the kitchen, Clara moved with methodical purpose, stirring a pot and lining utensils with care. Elias followed, carrying a folded blanket and a stack of documents, placing them down gently. "Deliberation will guide the day," he said. "Each step contributes to continuity, to a sense of order." The morning unfolded in careful motion. Leo moved through the rooms, attending to subtle, essential tasks, refilling water glasses, smoothing blankets, straightening pillows, repositioning objects. Each act, though small, contributed to an overarching sense of comfort and equilibrium within the home. The older man gestured for Leo to approach. "Observation is power," he said quietly. "Most fail to notice what is necessary. Your awareness allows care to succeed in ways action alone cannot." Leo absorbed the remark in silence, understanding that attentive presence demanded patience, energy, and the ability to remain vigilant without expectation of acknowledgement. By afternoon, clouds hung low, softening the sunlight into gentle hues that stretched across the rooms. Leo stepped briefly onto the balcony, letting the cool breeze brush his face. He reflected on the subtle responsibilities, that had become part of his daily rhythm, realizing that steady, patient action could sustain life more effectively than forceful effort or haste. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets and ensured the older man's posture remained comfortable. Clara arranged lamps to distribute light evenly, and Elias attended to minor household organization and schedules. Each deliberate movement reinforced the invisible framework of care and calm that had grown within the house. Evening approached with amber light, painting the rooms with warmth. Dinner was shared with attention and mindfulness. Conversation gentle and deliberate. Voices attuned to the energy of each participant. Leo observed that steadiness, patient gestures, and consistent attentiveness often shaped the environment more profoundly than words, quietly establishing harmony and security. As night descended, enveloping the home in deep stillness, Leo lay awake, listening to breathing, the subtle creaks of furniture, and distant murmurs from outside. He realized that enduring growth and inner strength arose from consistent presence, deliberate action, and compassion, rather than grand gestures or immediate recognition. A steady, resilient strength settled into him, a quiet fortitude prepared to meet the days ahead. He understood that lasting transformation often appeared in subtle forms, nurtured through attentiveness, patience, and the courage to remain when withdrawal might seem easier. A soft gray light stretched over the horizon, diffusing gently into the home and settling on every corner with quiet insistence. The house felt unusually still, yet charged with purpose, as though the walls themselves recognized the rhythm of care that had been established over time. Each sound, the faint shuffle of movement, the gentle clink of utensils, the whisper of fabric, seemed magnified, significant, threaded with the weight of responsibility and attention. Leo rose slowly, letting the floor's cool touch ground him. His eyes fell on the older man, propped on layers of pillows, eyes open but distant, shoulders moving with careful, measured breaths. Each subtle motion, the faint tremor of fingers, the slight tightening around the eyes, the soft rise and fall of the chest, signaled the persistence necessary to exist. Leo understood that today would require vigilance, presence, and conscious thought in every action. Mina entered, carrying a small basket of neatly folded linens and soft cloths. She positioned them beside the bed with deliberate precision. Even minor choices create ripple effects, she said softly. A single lapse can disturb the balance we've built. Leo approached. I'll pay attention, he said, sensing the weight behind her words, recognizing the lesson embedded in her tone. From the kitchen came the low, rhythmic sound of Clara stirring a pot, her movements slow, purposeful, soothing. Elias appeared, holding a folded blanket and a stack of papers. Each action must follow intention, he said. Deliberate steps maintain harmony and prevent disorder. The morning progressed with quiet precision. Leo moved through the rooms, performing small yet essential tasks, refilling glasses, arranging pillows, smoothing blankets, and aligning objects. Each effort, seemingly insignificant on its own, contributed to an overarching sense of stability that now defined the household. Later, the older man gestured for Leo to come closer. Observation is as vital as action, he said softly. Most overlook what is directly in front of them. Awareness transforms effort into care that matters. Leo absorbed the insight, realizing that attentive presence demanded patience, energy, and the willingness to maintain focus without immediate recognition or reward. Afternoon descended slowly, clouds softening sunlight into a gentle haze that stretched across the room. Leo stepped onto the balcony, feeling the cool breeze brush his face. He reflected on responsibility in its quietest forms, understanding that small, consistent actions could nurture and sustain life more effectively than hurried or dramatic efforts. Inside, Mina smoothed blankets and repositioned the older man with care. Clara adjusted lamps and lighting, creating warmth and balance in each corner. Elias attended to minor tasks and organized schedules, orchestrating calm silently but effectively. Every small gesture reinforced the delicate equilibrium sustaining the home. Evening arrived with amber light spilling into the rooms. Dinner was shared deliberately, voices gentle, conversation mindful and measured. Leo observed that steadiness, thoughtful gestures, and patient attention often carried more influence than words, subtly shaping comfort, stability, and connection. As night fell, wrapping the home in quiet stillness, Leo lay awake, listening to breathing, soft creaks, and distant murmurs from beyond the walls. He recognized that lasting growth, resilience, and inner strength emerged from consistency, thoughtful attention, and compassionate engagement, rather than flashy gestures or immediate accomplishments. A calm, enduring fortitude rooted itself within him, steady and patient. He felt prepared to meet tomorrow's challenges, understanding that meaningful transformation often unfolds gradually, nurtured through vigilance, empathy, and the courage to remain steadfast when leaving might seem easier. A pale, pearly light seeped through the curtains, spreading slowly across the familiar rooms and casting delicate patterns along the floorboards. The house carried an almost tangible stillness, as if it were holding its breath in anticipation of the day's unfolding. Each subtle sound, the gentle scrape of a chair, the quiet brush of fabric, the soft exhalation of breath, seemed significant, threaded with meaning, and tied to the delicate equilibrium that had grown over time. Leo rose carefully, feeling the smooth chill of the floor beneath his feet. His attention fell immediately on the older man, propped among several pillows, eyes partially open yet scanning the surroundings with measured awareness. Every movement, the twitch of a hand, the gentle tension in the shoulders, the deliberate rise and fall of the chests, spoke of endurance and quiet persistence. Leo sensed that the morning would demand observation, patience, and intention in all he did. Mina appeared, carrying a basket of folded fabrics and soft towels. She positioned them beside the bed with meticulous care. "Every choice we make shapes the day," she said softly. "Even the smallest lapse can ripple through what we've worked to create." Leo stepped closer. "I'll stay vigilant," he said, recognizing the depth of her words and the responsibility they implied. From the kitchen came the steady, rhythmic sound of Clara stirring a pot, her motions slow and deliberate, carrying both purpose and calm. Elias followed, holding a folded blanket and a neat stack of notes, placing them carefully on a table. "The day moves best when each step is intentional," he said. "Small, consistent efforts build security and flow." The morning progressed with measured precision. Leo moved throughout the rooms, performing minor yet vital tasks, refilling glasses, smoothing pillows, aligning blankets, and adjusting objects for comfort and accessibility. Each action, seemingly insignificant alone, contributed to the quiet stability and rhythm of the household. At one point, the older man motioned for Leo to come near. "Attention is as crucial as effort," he said gently. "Many overlook what is evident, and yet those details shape the environment profoundly. Your focus ensures care succeeds." Leo absorbed the words in silence, realizing that genuine presence required not just action, but sustained awareness, patience, and the discipline to remain engaged without expectation of recognition. Afternoon light softened as clouds drifted low, spreading a muted glow across the rooms. Leo stepped onto the balcony briefly, inhaling the cool air and letting the stillness settle around him. He contemplated responsibility in its quietest form, understanding that consistent, attentive care nurtures life in ways that dramatic gestures never could. Inside, Mina adjusted the older man's blankets and posture with steady hand. Clara rearranged lamps to spread warmth evenly, and Elias organized schedules and minor items, creating a seamless flow of calm. Each deliberate movement reinforced the subtle network of attention and comfort that defined the home. As evening approached, amber light filled the rooms, casting a warm glow across the table. Dinner was shared with care, conversation gentle and mindful, each participant attuned to the others. Leo realized that patience, observation, and small, deliberate actions often carried far more impact than spoken words, shaping security, connection, and comfort. Night descended fully, cloaking the home in stillness. Leo lay awake, listening to the measured breathing, faint creaks, and distant murmurs of the city beyond. He understood that enduring growth and resilience are cultivated through vigilance, consistency, and empathetic attention, rather than spectacle or immediate results. A quiet, steady strength rooted itself within him, persistent and patient. He felt equipped to face tomorrow, recognizing that meaningful transformation often grows gradually, nurtured through care, mindfulness, and the courage to remain present when retreat might seem easier. A soft, misty light edged through the upper windows, diffusing gently across the furniture and casting long, slender shadows along the walls and floor. The house carried a palpable sense of stillness, almost as if it were listening, attuned to every breath, movement, and sound. Even the smallest noises, the faint shuffle of a foot, the whisper of fabric against wood, the subtle settling of blankets, seemed charged with importance, each one echoing the careful balance that had been nurtured over days. Leo rose deliberately, feeling the subtle chill of the floor beneath him. His gaze immediately sought the older man, resting against the pillows with eyes partially closed but alert, shoulders rising and falling with quiet, deliberate rhythm. Every small twitch of the fingers, every brief tightening of the jaw, every measured inhale spoke of endurance and the persistence required to maintain dignity in fragile circumstances. Leo understood that today would demand unwavering attention and conscious, deliberate care. Mena entered carrying a neatly folded stack of linens, setting them beside the bed with methodical precision. "Everything we do influences the space," she said softly. "Even minor oversights can unsettle the balance we've established." Leo stepped closer. "I'll remain mindful," he replied, understanding that her words carried lessons beyond the task at hand. From the kitchen, Clara moved with patient purpose, stirring a simmering pot, aligning utensils, and occasionally adjusting the flame. Elias followed, holding a folded blanket and a bundle of documents. "Order and intention will guide the day," he said, voice calm yet firm. "Each step, no matter how small, contributes to stability." The morning progressed with deliberate cadence. Leo moved through the rooms, attending to seemingly simple but essential acts. Refilling water glasses, adjusting pillows, smoothing blankets, and arranging minor objects for comfort and ease of access. Each task, though modest on its own, contributed to the overarching rhythm of safety and reassurance within the home. At one point, the older man beckoned Leo closer. "Observation is as meaningful as action," he said gently. "Many fail to notice what is directly before them, yet those details shape well-being more than effort alone. Your attentiveness ensures care has impact." Leo absorbed the words quietly, realizing that true presence required patience, energy, and a willingness to remain engaged without seeking acknowledgement or reward. By afternoon, low clouds softened the sunlight, bathing the rooms in muted, even illumination. Leo stepped onto the balcony, letting the cool, damp air brush against his skin. He reflected on responsibility in its most subtle forms, recognizing that consistent, deliberate attention often nurtures life far more effectively than grand or dramatic gestures. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets and repositioned the older man with steady hands, ensuring comfort and ease. Clara arranged lighting to spread warmth evenly throughout the rooms, and Elias moved minor objects and coordinated schedules, reinforcing an invisible framework of order and care. Each precise movement strengthened the delicate harmony sustaining the household. Evening descended slowly, amber light spilling through the windows and filling the rooms with warmth. Dinner was shared attentively, conversation gentle and considered, each participant mindful of the energy and presence of the others. Leo recognized that patience, careful observation, and small, deliberate actions often shape the environment more profoundly than words, silently creating safety, connection, and balance. Night finally claimed the house, wrapping it in quiet darkness. Leo lay awake, listening to rhythmic breathing, faint creaks, and distant city murmurs. He understood that lasting growth, resilience, and strength arise through consistency, thoughtful attention, and sustained care rather than immediate results or outward spectacle. A deep, steady strength settled within him, quiet yet unwavering. He felt ready for the days ahead, aware that meaningful transformation often unfolds gradually, nurtured through patience, empathy, and the courage to remain steadfast when retreat would be easier. A pale, diffuse glow seeped through the windows, illuminating the familiar rooms with a gentle, almost ethereal radiance. The house carried a weight of quiet expectation, every surface and shadow alive with subtle awareness. Even the faintest sounds, the soft tap of footsteps, the whisper of fabric against furniture, the gentle sigh of settled cushions, seemed heightened, as though each carried purpose and demanded attention. Leo rose cautiously, feeling the cool firmness of the floor beneath him. His gaze immediately fell upon the older man, resting against an arrangement of pillows, eyes partially open but focused on nothing in particular, shoulders rising and falling with deliberate, measured breaths. Every subtle movement, the twitch of a finger, the faint tightening of the lips, the slight shift of a hand, spoke of endurance and the fragile persistence required to face each day. Leo sensed that this morning, like many before, would call for unwavering attentiveness and careful, thoughtful action. Mina entered quietly, carrying a basket of soft, folded cloths. She placed them beside the bed with careful precision, adjusting the arrangement until it seemed just right. Even the smallest gestures matter, she said softly. Neglect can disrupt the fragile harmony we've built. Leo stepped closer. I will remain aware, he replied, understanding that her words carried more than instruction. They carried the weight of mindfulness and responsibility. From the kitchen, Clara moved with purposeful rhythm, stirring a simmering pot, arranging utensils neatly, and occasionally checking the flame. Elias followed, holding a folded blanket and a neat stack of papers, setting them down with measured care. Intentionality will guide the day, he said. Each small, deliberate act sustains balance and order. The morning unfolded with quiet deliberation. Leo moved from room to room, performing tasks that appeared ordinary but were essential. Refilling water glasses, smoothing pillows, straightening blankets, and organizing objects for comfort and accessibility. Each motion, though subtle, contributed to the overall atmosphere of calm and security that now defined the home. The older man motioned for Leo to come near. Awareness is as vital as effort, he said gently. Most people overlook what lies directly before them. Those details shape the experience of care more than any visible labor. Your attention matters. Leo absorbed the words in silence, realizing that presence required patience, energy, and the discipline to sustain focus without expecting recognition or immediate reward. As afternoon arrived, soft clouds diffused the sunlight, spreading a muted, even glow across the room. Leo stepped onto the balcony, inhaling the crisp, cool air and letting its quiet calm settle over him. He reflected on responsibility in its simplest form, understanding that patient, continuous attention could nurture and sustain life far more effectively than sudden or dramatic gestures. Inside, Mina repositioned blankets and adjusted the older man's posture for comfort. Clara moved lamps to spread light evenly and warmly throughout the rooms, while Elias tended to small organizational tasks, reinforcing the invisible framework of support and stability. Each meticulous action strengthened the delicate network of care and mindfulness that sustained the household. Evening approached, amber light spilling through the windows, warming the rooms with a serene glow. Dinner was shared attentively, voices gentle, conversation considered, each person aware of the other's presence and needs. Leo observed that patience, observation, and careful, deliberate effort often held more weight than spoken words, quietly shaping the atmosphere of comfort and safety. Night finally descended, wrapping the house in soft, protective darkness. Leo lay awake, listening to rhythmic breathing, subtle creaks, and distant city murmurs. He understood that lasting growth, resilience, and inner strength emerge from consistent, deliberate attention, thoughtful action, and compassion, rather than outward display or immediate accomplishment. A steadfast, enduring fortitude took root within him, steady and patient. He felt prepared for the days ahead, aware that true transformation often manifests gradually, nurtured through mindfulness, empathy, and the courage to remain steadfast when retreat might seem simpler. A soft, silvery dawn slipped through the upper panes, draping the rooms in a quiet, contemplative light. The home seemed suspended between calm and expectation, each shadow and corner charged with subtle energy, as though the walls themselves bore witness to the rhythm of care that had been carefully cultivated. Even the faintest noises, the gentle scuff of feet, the whisper of cloth against furniture, the soft settling of blankets, felt meaningful, a part of the delicate balance that held the household together. Leo rose with deliberate care, feeling the smooth chill of the floor beneath him. His eyes immediately sought the older man, nestled among pillows with an alertness tempered by fatigue, shoulders moving in slow, controlled breathing. Every tiny gesture, the flex of a hand, the subtle shift of a wrist, the measured inhalation, revealed the effort required to maintain dignity and presence. Leo understood that today would demand acute observation, patience, and thoughtful intervention in every motion. Mena entered quietly, carrying a neatly folded stack of cloths and linens. She arranged them beside the bed with careful intention. Each action influences the whole, she said softly. Even a small oversight can unsettle the equilibrium we've established. Leo nodded. I will be attentive, he said, aware that her words held lessons extending beyond the task itself. From the kitchen, Clara moved methodically, stirring a simmering pot, aligning utensils, and checking the flame with precision. Elias followed shortly after, holding a folded blanket and a neat pile of notes. Purposeful action guides the day, he said. Consistency and focus preserve harmony. Morning passed with careful cadence. Leo moved through the rooms, performing tasks that appeared minor yet were essential. Filling water glasses, smoothing pillows, adjusting blankets, and arranging objects for ease and comfort. Each gesture, while subtle, reinforced the calm and stability that had grown within the home over time. The older man gestured for Leo to come closer. Observation matters as much as effort, he said gently. Many fail to notice the details that shape well-being. Your awareness allows care to succeed in ways action alone cannot. Leo absorbed the message quietly, realizing that being fully present required sustained energy, patience, and the willingness to act without expectation of immediate recognition. By afternoon, clouds hung low, diffusing sunlight into a soft, uniform glow. Leo stepped briefly onto the balcony, letting the cool breeze brush his face. He reflected on responsibility in its most understated form, recognizing that continuous, thoughtful attention nurtures and sustains life far more effectively than dramatic gestures or hurried actions. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets and ensured the older man's posture remained comfortable. Clara repositioned lamps to spread warmth and visibility evenly throughout the rooms, while Elias managed minor items and schedules, reinforcing the quiet structure that allowed the household to operate smoothly. Each careful, deliberate movement strengthened the invisible network of care that held the home together. Evening arrived with amber light spilling through the windows, enveloping the rooms in warmth. Dinner was shared with gentle attention, conversations slow and deliberate, each voice mindful of the energy and needs of the others. Leo realized that patience, observation, and consistent, thoughtful gestures often carried more weight than spoken words, subtly shaping the environment into one of comfort and stability. As night fell, blanketing the home in soft stillness, Leo lay awake, attuned to breathing, faint creaks, and distant city murmurs. He recognized that enduring growth, resilience, and inner fortitude emerge through sustained care, attentiveness, and quiet effort, rather than outward display or immediate results. A calm, unwavering strength rooted itself within him, patient and steady. He felt ready to face the days ahead, understanding that lasting transformation often develops slowly, nurtured through mindfulness, empathy, and the courage to remain steadfast when withdrawal might seem easier. Don't use same words which already use. So make lengthy episode 27 a gentle, pearly light filtered through the upper windows, casting soft streaks across the rooms and creating a serene, almost meditative atmosphere. The house seemed to breathe alongside its occupants, each corner and surface carrying subtle tension and unspoken expectation. Every whisper of movement, the soft scraping of a chair, the faint swish of cloth, the slow settling of cushions, felt weighted with meaning, reminding all within that balance and care were essential. Leo rose carefully, letting his feet meet the smooth floor with deliberate attention. His gaze found the older man reclining among layers of pillows. A faint golden light spilled through the upper windows, spreading slowly across the rooms and giving the familiar spaces a warm, reflective glow. The house seemed almost sentient, attuned to the smallest movement and sound, carrying the accumulated quiet discipline of countless days. Every creak of the floor, the soft brushing of fabric, and the gentle settling of furniture echoed with significance, as though each motion contributed to the subtle harmony that held the household together. Leo rose with careful deliberation, feeling the smooth chill of the floor beneath his feet. His attention immediately went to the older man, nestled among pillows with eyes partially open, shoulders rising and falling with a slow, steady rhythm. Even the smallest gestures, the faint flexing of fingers, the gentle tightening of lips, the measured exhales, spoke of the persistence and resilience required to maintain strength in the face of fragility. Leo sensed that today, like the days before, would demand sustained attentiveness and thoughtful care. Mina entered quietly, carrying a neatly folded stack of soft linens. She positioned them beside the bed with care, aligning each piece with precision. "Every choice we make ripples through the household," she said softly. "Even the smallest lapse can alter the balance we have cultivated." Leo stepped forward. "I will remain mindful," he said, recognizing that her words contained a lesson extending beyond the immediate task. Lesson of awareness and responsibility. From the kitchen came the steady, rhythmic sound of Clara stirring a pot, her movements measured and deliberate, carrying an undercurrent of calm. Elias appeared with a folded blanket and a stack of documents, placing them gently on a nearby table. "Intentional action sustains stability," he said quietly. "Even the smallest, consistent effort preserves order and comfort." The morning passed with a careful cadence. Leo moved from room to room, performing seemingly minor yet vital tasks, refilling water cups, adjusting pillows, smoothing blankets, and arranging objects to enhance comfort and accessibility. Each small act reinforced the invisible framework of care that permeated the home. Later, the older man motioned for Leo to come closer. "Observation is as vital as effort," he said gently. "Many overlook what is right before them. Your awareness allows every action to carry meaning and sustain well-being." Leo absorbed the words in silence, understanding that true presence required patience, energy, and the ability to maintain focus without expectation of immediate acknowledgement. By afternoon, clouds drifted low, softening the sunlight into a gentle, diffused illumination. Leo stepped briefly onto the balcony, letting the cool air brush against his skin. He reflected on responsibility in its most subtle form, realizing that steady, thoughtful attention nurtures and sustains life more effectively than dramatic gestures or hasty action. Inside, Mina adjusted the older man's posture and smoothed blankets with careful hands. Clara positioned lamps to distribute warmth evenly throughout the rooms, and Elias tended to small organizational tasks, reinforcing the quiet structure that allowed the household to function harmoniously. Every meticulous movement strengthened the delicate network of care that supported the home. Evening arrived, amber light spilling into the rooms and bathing them in serenity. Dinner was shared with gentle attentiveness, conversations slow and deliberate, each participant aware of the presence and needs of the others. Leo realized that patience, observation, and careful, repeated action often held more influence than words alone, subtly shaping the atmosphere of comfort, stability, and connection. Night finally descended, wrapping the home in soft, protective darkness. Leo lay awake, attuned to breathing, faint creaks, and distant murmurs from beyond the walls. He understood that lasting growth, resilience, and inner fortitude emerge through deliberate, sustained care rather than outward display or immediate accomplishment. A steady, enduring strength settled within him, patient and persistent. He felt prepared for the challenges of tomorrow, knowing that meaningful transformation often develops gradually, nurtured by mindfulness, empathy, and the courage to remain steadfast when leaving might seem easier. A muted, amber glow filtered through the high windows, stretching across the rooms and giving every surface a soft, contemplative sheen. The house seemed alive in a quiet, deliberate way, resonating with the echoes of careful attention and the invisible rhythm of responsibilities carried over many days. Each faint sound, the subtle scrape of a chair, the gentle rustle of linens, the soft settling of cushions, was magnified, weighted with meaning, as though every motion contributed to the fragile equilibrium that had been nurtured within these walls. Leo rose slowly, feeling the slight coolness of the floor beneath his feet, and immediately turned his attention toward the older man, propped among several pillows. The man's eyes were half-lidded but observant, shoulders rising and falling in measured cadence. Every minor gesture, the flexing of a finger, the faint tightening of the lips, the slow inhale and exhales, spoke of determination and endurance. Leo recognized that maintaining this rhythm required not only action but vigilance, patience, and mindfulness throughout the day. Mena entered carrying a basket of neatly folded textiles, placing them beside the bed with careful arrangement. "The smallest efforts can shape everything around us," she said softly. "Even an overlooked detail can affect the stability we've worked so hard to maintain." Leo stepped closer. "I will remain attentive," he replied, understanding that her words contained more than practical instruction. They carried a lesson of awareness, patience, and responsibility. From the kitchen came the steady hum of Clara moving, stirring a simmering pot and adjusting utensils with deliberate precision. Elias followed shortly after, holding a folded blanket and a small stack of papers, placing them gently on a side table. Careful, intentional action guides the flow of the day, he said. Even the smallest, consistent acts support balance and harmony. The morning passed in quiet, deliberate motion. Leo moved through the rooms, completing seemingly minor but essential tasks, refilling water cups, arranging pillows, smoothing blankets, and repositioning objects to maximize comfort and accessibility. Each gesture, though subtle, contributed to a broader sense of security and calm that enveloped the home. The older man beckoned Leo closer. "Observation is as powerful as effort," he said gently. "Many overlook what is present right before them. Your attentiveness ensures that each act carries weight and purpose." Leo listened quietly, realizing that being fully present demanded consistent energy, focus, and the willingness to act without expectation of immediate recognition or reward. As afternoon arrived, clouds softened the sunlight, spreading a diffuse, gentle illumination across the rooms. Leo stepped onto the balcony briefly, inhaling the crisp air and allowing the calm to settle around him. He considered responsibility in its quietest, most understated form, understanding that persistent, attentive care often nurtures and sustains life far more effectively than grand gestures or hurried movement. Inside, Mina adjusted the older man's position and smoothed blankets with careful, deliberate hands. Clara repositioned lamps, distributing warmth and clarity evenly across the space, while Elias managed minor household arrangements and schedules, reinforcing the subtle network of care that allowed the home to function with ease. Each thoughtful action strengthened the invisible framework that supported the household. Evening arrived, amber light spilling across the rooms, painting everything in a warm, reflective hue. Dinner was shared with deliberate attention, conversation slow and mindful, each voice aware of the presence and needs of the others. Leo noticed that steady patience, careful observation, and consistent effort often shaped the environment more effectively than words, quietly fostering connection, safety, and comfort. As night finally descended, cloaking the home in soft stillness, Leo lay awake, listening to rhythmic breathing, the faint settling of furniture, and distant murmurs from the world beyond. He realized that enduring strength, growth, and resilience arise through deliberate care, mindfulness, and consistent attention, rather than fleeting display or immediate accomplishment. A deep, unwavering fortitude settled within him, calm and steady. He felt prepared for the challenges of the coming days, understanding that true transformation grows gradually, nurtured by dedication, empathy, and the courage to remain when it would be easier to turn away. A gentle, rosy light filtered through the upper panes, spilling softly across the familiar rooms and suffusing the space with a quiet, reflective glow. The house felt alive in its own subtle rhythm, as though it breathed along with its occupants. Each corner and surface carrying traces of care, attention, and patience, accumulated over many days. Even the smallest noises, the faint shift of a chair, the soft flutter of fabric, the quiet settling of cushions, seemed charged with meaning, as though every movement contributed to the delicate harmony of the home. Leo rose deliberately, feeling the smooth surface of the floor beneath his feet, and his gaze immediately found the older man, resting among pillows with eyes half open, yet scanning the surroundings with a calm attentiveness. Every nuanced movement, the twitch of a hand, the slight press of lips together, the slow, even rhythm of breathing, revealed the determination required to maintain presence and dignity. Leo sensed that today would call for careful mindfulness, steady action, and unwavering focus in every gesture. Mina entered carrying a basket of neatly folded cloths, placing them beside the bed with meticulous care. Even the tiniest adjustments influenced the whole. She said softly, "Neglect, however slight, can disturb the balance we've built over time. Leo stepped closer. "I will remain vigilant," he said, understanding that her words carried lessons far beyond the simple task at hand. Reminder of awareness, responsibility, and conscious effort. From the kitchen, Clara's movements created a soft rhythm, stirring a gentle simmer, arranging utensils, checking the flame. Elias followed, holding a folded blanket and a small stack of papers, placing them carefully nearby. "Deliberate effort directs the day," he said quietly. "Even the smallest, repeated actions maintain order and continuity." The morning unfolded in a measured flow. Leo moved from room to room, performing minor yet essential duties, replenishing water, smoothing pillows, arranging blankets, and repositioning objects to enhance comfort and accessibility. Each small action, though subtle, contributed to the larger atmosphere of calm and security that pervaded the home. The older man motioned for Leo to approach. "Awareness is as vital as labor," he said softly. "Most people fail to notice what is plainly present, yet those details shape well-being more than effort alone. Your careful attention ensures that every action carries weight and purpose." Leo absorbed the statement quietly, recognizing that full presence required consistent effort, patience, and the courage to remain engaged without immediate acknowledgement. Afternoon sunlight softened under drifting clouds, spreading a diffused golden glow across the rooms. Leo stepped onto the balcony, allowing the crisp air to brush against his face. He reflected on responsibility in its most understated form, realizing that steady, continuous care nurtures and sustains life far more profoundly than grand or hasty gestures. Inside, Mina adjusted blankets and the older man's posture with deliberate hands. Clara arranged lamps, balancing warmth and clarity throughout the rooms, while Elias attended to minor tasks and schedules, reinforcing the intricate network of support that allowed the household to function smoothly. Each thoughtful gesture strengthened the invisible bonds of care and harmony that held the home together. As evening arrived, amber light painted the rooms with a tranquil glow. Dinner was shared with attentive, deliberate care. Conversation was gentle and considered, each voice tuned to the needs and presence of the others. Leo realized that quiet patience, sustained observation, and mindful action often had a greater impact than words, shaping an environment of safety, comfort, and connection. Night fell fully, draping the house in soft darkness. Leo lay awake, attuned to rhythmic breathing, the faint creak of furniture, and distant, muted city sounds. He understood that lasting resilience, inner strength, and personal growth emerged through careful, consistent attention, thoughtful care, and mindful presence, rather than fleeting displays or immediate reward. A profound, enduring strength settled within him, steady and patient. He felt prepared to face whatever the next day might bring, understanding that meaningful transformation develops gradually, nurtured by empathy, dedication, and the courage to remain steadfast when it would be easier to step away. In that quiet realization, Leo sensed a deep connection to life itself, a recognition that care, presence, and gentle perseverance create a foundation that endures far beyond any single moment, leaving a legacy of calm, compassion, and resilience that ripples through time.